I'm Matt Bishar with NAREITWeek.com here in New York City for REITWeek 2015, NAREIT's Investor Forum. Joining me for this CEO Spotlight is Dave Schulte, President and CEO of CorEnergy Infrastructure Trust. Dave, thanks so much for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Let's start with an overview. CorEnergy is a REIT with a focus on the energy real estate sector, which sets it apart from most REITs. What's your business strategy?
As the first publicly listed infrastructure REIT, we have a focus on energy assets. Energy assets that are suitable for this strategy include utility-like assets such as pipelines, storage facilities, and transmission lines. Now, we look for assets that can give us long-term recurring revenue streams with long-duration leases with a goal of providing a stable, predictable dividend stream that has some long-term growth characteristics to it.
Could you elaborate a little bit about the stability of your company? Because energy infrastructure sounds like it might be subject to some of the risks that investors perceive in oil or gas.
So we focus on infrastructure assets that are absolutely critical or essential to the operations of our tenants. And we take a lower risk approach by enabling them to have predictable cost of accessing our infrastructure assets for a very long time. So although they may experience some fluctuation in their returns based on energy prices, we have no real direct commodity exposure in our leases. And an example of that would be the pipeline we have in Wyoming. It serves a production field managed and operated and owned by a public company, Ultra Petroleum. That field is a very long-lived field with relatively low production costs, and the pipeline has to exist in order to dispose of water and other liquids coming out of the ground along with the natural gas. So as long as the company wants to produce in that region, which they do for a very long time, our asset is essential to support their production efforts, and we charge for it much like a utility would for services that it might provide. And we believe because of that we really have low direct commodity price exposure and instead have a much more recurring revenue model, utility-like in nature.
And lastly, CorEnergy has gone through some dramatic changes in the last 3 to 4 years. How do you see the company continuing to evolve going forward?
Now, we've migrated our ownership from a portfolio of private and public MLP securities into ownership of the underlying assets that support energy companies. And we've grown from around 90 million of total assets to 460 million in that time period. We do believe that we've created a platform now that's viable, that has demonstrated track record, and we've been able to grow our dividend with each new acquisition and expect to continue to grow our dividend 3 to 5% a year. We don't want to grow just for sake of asset growth. Our goal is a long-term stable dividend with growth characteristics, and so if we're not able to grow our dividend, we're not going to do an acquisition just to grow our platform. So we would expect that the direction our company will continue to take would be to be relevant as a financing option for energy producers and energy distribution companies nationwide, and that will increase diversification of our portfolio, thereby mitigating risk and growing our dividend along the way. And so far we've been able to do that.
Dave, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
For more on this and other REIT news and analysis, be sure to visit REIT.com.